Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with the Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers Show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza.
Hello, everybody. How is it going out there? Haven't spoken with many of you folks for quite some time. You know how these things go. This is my 4th season already. I'm like Batman. I sneak off into the Batcave for 6 months every off season because, you know, if you listen to me 12 months of the year, I know you guys like me from September to January, but if you listen to me from February through August, you would get so sick of me. Isn't it so much better wanting me to come back? That's how I feel anyway. And today I am back. You know, don't get too excited. There's not going to be any real content moving for a little while, but maybe we'll get started with the radio show a little bit, start putting out a couple little things here and there. But today, we're just going to get together. We're going to talk a little bit about where the Steelers are at, how we feel about training camp so far, and just kind of, you know, spar a little bit, get things going, get the juices pumping, getting ready, you know, doing training camp basically for ourselves, you know, the content kings of the Steelers sphere. And as such, joining me is a fellow content king. You know him from our Tuesday shows last year during Steelers season. It's my good friend, Mr. SteelFlyers. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing spectacular. I'm doing great. And I tell you what, man, I am looking forward to this season.
Yes?
More so than I was last season.
All right, that's fair.
Right?
Last season was weird. I remember, yeah, it was weird.
Okay. Yeah. It was weird because we all knew it was the end of Ben, and you know what I mean? We all knew, and it had a weird
before the
vibe.
season even started, too, it was like, we weren't sure if Ben was going to be able to be good because the end of 2020 had been so precipitous. The drop-off had been so precipitous. So it was like, you know, you're like, what are they doing? Like, Ben's trying to run bootlegs in practice. Like, what's going to go on here? So it was a very weird year, start to finish. One of the weirdest years I've ever had as a sports fan, to be honest. And it never really had a feel. I don't know about you, but I feel like it just never had a feel.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because it was an off year. It was just an off year, you know, and already we're 2 minutes in and word of the day, precipitous. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes. See, I come back in. I take my 6 months off. I read books. I come back. Remember last year I was talking about I read all these boxing books and stuff.
Yeah, you were like Muhammad Ali.
This year I, you know, read. I've been watching a lot of movies this summer, a lot of films. So I'm bringing some words to the table, you know.
Oh snap! He's already in mid-season form, and we're just getting into training camp.
Oh,
yeah, baby.
You know what's funny is I didn't think about a single one of these words that I've said since I pressed stream on this thing, and it comes back like nothing. I could talk about the Steelers. You could wake me up out of a coma for 10 years and I could bullshit about the Steelers. Like, I mean,
all you'd have to do
I could be like Dracula, you know, I've been in a coffin for 200 years and I'm like, well, Ben Roethlisberger was better than Terry Bradshaw. So no, yeah.
Oh, well.
So where,
let's not go there on that one.
That was just me being a millennial for a second. But you know, hey, it's whatever.
No, I get it, because you've never seen Terry Bradshaw play.
Yeah. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to do the exact same thing to my nephew, who's won right now in 20 years.
You know, like you've never seen Ben Roethlisberger play, right?
Yeah. Last time you took a step, you weren't even 1 year old. What are you talking about? Yeah. And you told me Kenny Pickett's better? Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
So let's start bouncing around a little bit about the players and the state of the team. So you tell me you're excited. You know, I think I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm excited. I have two battling sides of me. So
yes,
the way that I feel as a fan is that, and maybe this is sacrilege to Steelers fans, but I'm a little excited to not be hanging on every second of every game like it's life or death, because the blessing and the curse of having a guy like Roethlisberger for the last 20 years is every game we went into, whether we were favored, underdogs, whatever, had a shot. And you knew, okay, this goes right, we can beat Brady, or this, and I think there's got to be a little bit of a collective resetting right now. And I've been kind of trying to, like, not push a narrative, but kind of just tell people, like, hey, like, it's just different now, and it's gonna be until we know what pick it is, right? Exactly. I mean, yeah,
exactly. Or Trubisky, or okay. So I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly the approach that I have as well. Because when you look at it from not a fan's perspective, okay, this team has a lot of talent.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Okay, and when you look at just the straight numbers, right? And you always are the one that, the tail of the tape, right? You're the master of this is what you see on tape, right? Right? So when it comes down to the cold hard facts, you know what I'm saying? This team has some talent.
Yeah.
It does. In the skilled positions, this team has some talent.
Yeah, I don't think I think there's a legitimate argument if you're just talking solely skill positions.
Yeah.
I think there's a legitimate argument that they're one of the top 3 to 5 teams in the league, and I really believe that. When you look at wide receiver, running back, tight end, if you take a logical step forward, if you take a logical step forward for Najee and Freiermuth after what we saw as rookies playing with, the ghost
Even
of Ben
Gentry.
Roethlisberger. Yeah, Gentry, really nice player.
Yeah.
I think they have. I think they're set there. But this is the big question, and this is the thing that we all haven't really had to deal with, except for these last couple two years where we weren't sure what Ben was anymore. There's the big question mark at the biggest position. I mean, at the end of the day, we could love Deontay, Chase Claypool, Najee, all this stuff. You can love these guys and what they represent on paper, but at the end of the day, wouldn't you trade them all for a known high commodity player at quarterback? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I don't know. That is the thing that makes everything work in this league. And if you don't have that, it's not like the old days where you could get by with a really good defense. And I mean, it might help you. Maybe it gets you to 8 or 9 wins or something, but you need a quarterback. And I don't know. I have differing feelings on these quarterbacks and this quarterback situation from a lot of people. I'm curious where you're at with that. And
so I'm going to start on the other side of the ball first.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. And the reason why I want to do that is because defense wins championships.
Sure.
That's the argument.
I feel like there's less turnover on the defensive side, so that's why I wasn't thinking that. But go ahead. I'll go where you're leading.
Okay, so everybody's a year older, and now we've got a completely different defensive mindset, because now all of the old guard is gone. Finally, this is all Tomlin's guys.
Yeah.
Straight out. Like, there's no leftover guys. There's no.
I think that's been the case for now about 2 years or so. Since I would say the 2019 team, the Duck Hodges, Mason Rudolph year, I think that was the changeover when we were like, okay, this is officially a new era for that defense.
Right. I'm with you.
17, 18, there's still James Harrison, all that. Exactly. But I think since they got Minka, to me, that Minka and TJ combo is just like, okay, this is a new era now.
New era. I agree, 100%. Okay. The last of the, but that's kind of why I want to say that the defense, I believe, is going to be that type of defense this year where it's going to be able to win us games.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as the defensive line holds in check, I think I really am looking at Alex Highsmith and I'm looking to see him have an explosive year. I'm really looking forward to seeing this kid have a breakout year. I mean, I've been high on him since we drafted him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
He's been fantastic.
And he has lived up to the billing.
Yeah, I feel like
to some aspects,
we were all a little disappointed. I think end of the day with the numbers last year, I think we all expected a little bit bigger of a step forward. But he was solid. I mean, he's always so good against the run. He does all of the things you want, right? It's just, rushing opposite TJ, you would have liked to see more than six sacks on the stat sheet.
I'm with you. So I think we're going to see more.
Yeah.
Because he played more of a role last year.
Sure.
Right? Where he actually, I think he started, 8 or 9 games? I don't think he started every game.
He I think was hurt a little bit in the middle of the year, but he played a lot.
No, I know he played a lot, but I don't think he started at the beginning of the year. I'm not sure, but I mean, it was only his second season.
Yeah, no, it was his second year. Yeah.
Right. And to play that position back there, that linebacker position, especially in the Pittsburgh defense, you know what I mean? Now with Flores as the defensive coordinator mind now, and we'll see how that's all going to work out because there's been a lot of coaching changes.
Well, yeah, so you got Flores now coaching the linebackers up a little bit, and you got Terrell Lawson, which is now you have a whole new era with a defensive coordinator situation, and you wonder what that mind meld is going to be like with Tomlin. I think the front seven, I like the pickups. I'm somebody that will, I consider Alu to essentially be a pickup because we didn't have him all last year. So
right.
He's coming back, and he was a monster. I mean, people forget what a loss that was in week 2 of last year. I love picking up for cheap Larry Ogunjobi from Cleveland. Really good, talented player. Always gave us a little bit of trouble. I think the front seven I'm not really worried about. I even like some of the kids. I thought he was thrown into a bigger role than he was supposed to be as a rookie, but Isaiah Loudermilk had some interesting signs last year. He's got that prototypical frame. I could see him becoming a Brett Kiesel type in this defense. That's just,
that's kind of what I was thinking too.
He just has overachiever written all over him, and that's that's a good thing. I think Alex Highsmith is like that. Alex Highsmith's not a freak. He's just somebody who's gonna show up, put in the work, and but you got to have those guys. Clark Hagan's wasn't a freak, but he worked with Joey Porter. Like you need, not everybody's gonna be a freak in nature. So
exactly.
I think they're good at the front seven. I don't love the cornerback position, to be honest. I thought because they signed Levi Wallace, and to me, it's like they just have a bunch of number 2 cornerbacks. That's the way I see it. Yeah. The Steelers just they refuse. I mean, even this year they had money and resources. They just won't target like a high end. I mean, guys like Stephon Gilmore changed teams again. I mean, there's guys out there, man. Like, if you really want to invest in your defense, I just feel like they're putting the same player out there. I feel like Akello Witherspoon and Levi Wallace and Cam Sutton, even Pierre is not the quality, but they're all the same type of dude, I think. And even
Sutton, Marcus Allen, you throw him in there a little bit into that mix too.
Yeah. In playing that sort of hybrid role, I will say I love that they were able to bring back Terrell Edmonds for a really cheap deal. I was surprised that nobody gave him any money. I mean, we've talked about him a million times, and he's very divisive in the fan base. But he's a good dude, and he never misses a snap. That's one thing about that dude. He is available.
In there.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's played almost every game since he's been here. So I'm glad they picked him up. I'm bummed for him. He couldn't find a little money out there, but such is life as a safety in the NFL.
We'll see. Not everybody can be a Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Minkah did get paid.
Cha-ching. Holy smokes.
That's officially, I think I mentioned this last year, but now that Ben's gone and Juju's gone, Minkah is officially my that's officially my guy.
Okay.
I've decided. Yeah, I got a jersey. I got a Minka and a Najee for the new upcoming season.
I saw.
Yeah, I got the Najee throwback, and the Minka. Like, I don't know. I just like that dude, man. I just love the way he is. I like that it seems like he genuinely doesn't care about anything besides football and just being good at it. And yeah, I like him. So I'm excited to see the defense. But I don't know if I don't love the cornerback position. I'm just being honest. I don't love it. I think
agree.
you're putting a lot on the shoulders of an Ahkello Witherspoon. I kind of thought they were going to bring Hayden back for at least another 1-year deal. I didn't think he fell off that bad last year. I thought he was still very good contributing player.
Yeah.
And that remains to be seen. They might. He's not signed. There's no bad feelings. He really might. They might sign him like week 3. I mean, was Joe Hayden need training camp? I mean,
right.
He's been around.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I don't love that position as it is.
I'm with you. And I really think that that might be something that they do later on down the road, is bring him back in. You know what I mean? Just to help solidify that position, or so. I mean, we'll have to see. But of all things considered, I really like the defense for the most part.
Yeah. Well, and you got one other big question mark, which is the middle linebacker position. And this, I think, this is going to be the story that all of us who talk about this team are not going to be able to get away from this year, because I think it's going to carry on and on. It's the Devin Bush situation. So the team signed Miles Jack, which Miles Jack is clearly the best middle linebacker they have on their roster now. I mean, you look at their resume, I just think that's a fact. What is Devin Bush? I don't put a lot into training camp reports. I really don't, because you can make whatever narrative you want out of whatever thing that happens. So I don't buy into it. But people make it sound like, Spillane and Bush are pretty neck and neck in the pecking order. And that's kind of how it was last year too. And that's how it was, so I don't know. I don't know if your middle linebacker combo is, again, you don't often have both middle linebackers on the field anymore. It's just Bush is just going to become a really interesting case. And I don't know how much confidence I have that he's going to be what we hoped he was going to be. And whether it's the injury, whether it's confidence, whatever, I just didn't see it, man. And I don't know. If he's not out there really grabbing it by the horns in training camp this year, then you really got to start to wonder if that dog's just not coming back.
Exactly. And we all know that Pittsburgh historically drafts a lot of linebackers because they use them for the special teams and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? And so when you go out and specifically sign a middle linebacker, I mean, if that's not the writing on the wall there, the fact that they didn't pick up Bush's fifth-year option, you know what I mean? So that's another writing on the wall right there too. You know what I mean? And it's like, here's how I think it's going to roll. If the defensive front plays well and are able to get the pressure onto the quarterback, like I compared it to the old Steel Curtain, because the old Steel Curtain, they played kind of like a modified 4-6.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But the front 4 guys were usually enough.
Yeah, with those guys, yeah.
Okay, so that the rest of the guys behind them, the linebacking core, could be the guys that can handle the running backs coming out, the tight ends. You know what I mean? And that kind of thing. So if the defensive line is able to put the pressure on to the quarterback like I think they can, then I think that's going to allow guys like Bush to be able to have a little bit more leeway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And things
fair.
like that.
That's fair. I
agree with you, though.
I just sit here and I wonder what the top end of that is, because, we've led the league in sacks for 5 years in a row now. And it's great. And I love watching TJ get sacks, and he's going to probably surpass the Steelers all-time franchise record this year, which is freaking nuts.
I mean,
but
the fact that he's not that far from it now.
I mean, I think he's like 7 away, which is nuts.
Right?
Well, he had 23 last year. I mean, my goodness. I mean, but this is why, I started again. You brought it over the defense, but that's why I started with the offense, because, what is the top? Like, we've seen this team now for several years in a row since the Roethlisberger injury, where they had a really strong defense that was good enough to keep them in almost every game.
Yep.
And eventually just not enough offense. There was that run, like the first 2/3 of Ben's first year back before people figured it out, where we had this confluence of like, okay, we're scoring 28 points. We got a great defense. You're like, awesome. Then people figure out, oh, he can't really throw the ball anymore. And then the offense kind of stinks. He can't
really run.
And last year it just was so, I mean, it was painful. And it's, and a lot of people hate to hear it, but it was tough watching him at times last year. It was just so it was so clear that he just physically was not the same player. And I think, this year you're going to have some new blood there. You're going to have some different stuff happening, a little more athleticism, a little more arm strength, but
perfect segue.
But less experience, less moxie, less I've done it. But then also, do you kind of have some, no matter who the quarterback is it kind of, are we entering a new era? Because did it feel at times in recent years that like Ben had just become like this crotchety old man on a team full of 23-year-olds who like, I'm not even hating. I mean, I'm only 32. But I think about, like, if I had to be around, like, a 22-year-old every day, I'm like, I don't know what I would talk about. And, like, I'm just saying it's different. And I just kind of, the no music and the, oh, well, this is the way the Roonies want. And I'm not knocking any of that stuff specifically. I kind of wonder if there's, like, it feels like there's a different feel. It felt like with Ben around, it's like, oh, well, certain things you just can't say and you just can't do this. And then Ben's going to like low key throw somebody under the bus and everybody's going to have to like pretend it didn't happen.
That's a good way to put that.
we watched it for I love the guy. He's my favorite athlete of all time. He was petty. There's no other way to put it. When he was really good, it made it worth it. When he stopped being really good, it was got to be a little annoying. But I don't know. How do you see that position with the quarterback? I think the way I see it, I think Trubisky's probably going to be starting week 1. Just knowing what I know about Mike.
Tomlin's already come out and said if the season started right now today, that Trubisky would be QB1.
Yeah, and I think that's, they're putting their confidence behind him. They think he's their best bet.
Well, they went out and signed him to a 2-year deal.
Yeah, so not that much money though. Yeah, I mean, not that much money. He can. If you had to sit him on the bench because somebody else earned a spot, it wouldn't be a killer. Right. But I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about it? Like, I hate saying this. I just don't care. Like, I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl with Mitchell Trubisky. And I don't know. I put this out as a poll question and it got people mad because, you ask sports fans to do complex thinking and they get frustrated. But I put out a poll. Okay. I put out a poll and I said, okay, would you rather, all things equal, would you rather go like 9-7 and sneak into the playoffs and get walloped? I put it in simpler terms, but essentially go 9-7, same as last year with Trubisky. You sneak into the playoffs and you get walloped in the first round by the Chiefs, and the season doesn't matter. Or would you rather the team go, I hate to say it, 6-10, 7-9, but Kenny Pickett starts the whole year and you see some good signs, and by the end of the year you're like, I think we got our guy. Like, to me, I kind of almost would rather that. Like, I feel like if you start Trubisky all year and we like go 500 or slightly above, do you care about that anymore? Like, I don't care about the last 2 playoff seeds with Ben. Like, yeah, we made the playoffs, but as a Steelers fan, I watch championships, okay? Like, I don't really care about them winning the division in 2020. To be honest, I don't. Like, I don't think of that as like great memory. Like, sneaking in last year was kind of cool and probably more memorable for me than in 2020.
Yeah.
But they skidded down the stretch in 2020 so bad that it's not a positive memory for me.
That's true. All right. So I think what's going to happen this year is we're going to see the full Matt Canada offense, because I think that no matter who is quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's Rudolph, whether it's Trubisky, or whether it's Kenny, they're all going to be able to run the full gambit of his offense.
Yeah, you're talking about way more athleticism no matter what. Yeah.
Okay, so that in and of itself is already a step in the right direction.
Yep.
In my book. Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I'm taking the little victories wherever I can.
Yeah.
Right, because that's going to be a little victory, right? Because to be honest with you, look, I really think that the quarterbacks are next year to be picking in the draft, and I don't think that Pittsburgh should have selected a quarterback this year. That's just my overall opinion, because when you look at the numbers on Kenny Pickett, right? And all of his projections and all that stuff, he's not really projected to be more than a Mitchell Trubisky type quarterback.
I don't know that I agree with that.
I mean,
Kenny Pickett
but that's
last
fine.
year
We don't have to agree on that.
He had one of the best quarterback years of the last decade in college football. I'm comfortable with the player. I don't know. Trubisky, I just think, is a weird comparison. It's tough.
Well, what I mean by that is maybe not a Trubisky, more of a guy that's going to bounce from team to team.
Yeah,
who's
a journeyman.
You don't. Shot that's, and he's not going to quite make it, and he's going to be
Marcus
the
Mariota.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
right. Because I just don't think he's that.
Yeah.
You know, he's not.
I see what you're saying, but the thing. I mean, I campaigned for other options at that position, but seeing the way that everything broke out. Look, they've known this guy for 5 years now. He's in the building.
It's a great story.
I have to be able to trust that if they really felt that, then that's what they wanted to do. Because clearly the league, I mean, Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder ended up falling to like the 3rd round, right? So clearly the league knew there was going to be quarterbacks available 2nd, 3rd round. If they really were that elated and really felt like they got their steal with their guy, then I'm going to operate until proven otherwise that Pickett is going to be a good caliber starting NFL quarterback. I have to give them the benefit of the doubt on that. Although I'm willing to be proven wrong. I see you with that. I don't. But okay, but taking out the idea of like the Steelers are the Steelers. They're not scrapping and starting over next year, no matter if Trevor Lawrence is coming out and they have the first round pick. It is what it is. But I mean, I guess my point is more, do you want to kind of go the slow and steady and kick the can down the road a little bit with a Trubisky or a Rudolph because they have the best camp? Or do you just want to just see what the kid's got?
You talked about it last season. Okay. And this has to be that transition time now for Pittsburgh. Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so it's going to be that transition quarterback. So the quarterbacks that are on this team right now may not be the quarterback of the future and may not be on the team in 2 or 3 years. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
And Kenny Pickett might end up being fodder for another pick. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I agree. I'm with you until he plays. Right? Prove me wrong. I'm not saying that the kid's not a good player. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm not saying that he's not capable of being a starting quarterback. But everything that all of the like Corsi numbers and all the analytics and everything don't point to him being one.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that's a fair observation, and there were a lot of questions about him in the draft. I just like it's one of those things where it's like it's here and it's now, and you just kind of have to. I said, I still ultimately am more excited. I'm glad I wanted them to take a quarterback because ultimately I just want to find out what the next thing is sooner than later. And, if that means that it's 2 years and Pickett's just not that good and it's not really working, and then you move on and you pivot again, then, so be it. But the worst, I mean, I'm so tired of these years now. Like, this is that part of like kind of realigning expectations that I've been talking about now for a couple of years, which is like Steelers fans. I love them so much, and we are all spoiled. We're so spoiled. We don't even realize it. And the thing is, you see them in these like conversations across the league and social media, and they talk like we're still winning a Super Bowl like every 3 years. And I just like, we haven't won a playoff game in 6 years. Like, I mean, like...
And it's been, 12 years since we've won a Super Bowl?
Yeah, and it's been... I mean, and we've had 3 playoff wins since, I'm 32 now. We've had 3 playoff wins since I was 20, I think. So, like, that's a long time, man. Like, and I just... And that's not to talk down... That's not to talk down the team or people that support them. Obviously, I do all this work because I'm a Steelers fan, and I want to bring you guys the best content possible about the team. But I'm just so tired of like, like when did the standard get lowered suddenly to like now it's a selling point? Well, Mike's never gone below 500. I could care less. I would trade 5 of these seasons where he went 10-6 and didn't win a playoff game for 1 more Super Bowl. Wouldn't you?
All day long.
Yeah, like so it's whatever you want to say about where the team is at. I just want to find what the next thing is, because I think once things blew over with the Killer Bees in 2018, I just think we just ended up we've been in this sort of pattern, and you and me
last shot.
Yeah, and you and me talked about it in a little bit, but it's just we've been in this, like, especially last year, where it's like, all right, we promoted Canada because we kind of sort of told him that we were going to make him the offensive coordinator when Ben left, but then Ben didn't really want to leave, and so and that's the thing about stability sometimes, that like it gets you on both ends, because the team got, they took some heat and they had a ugly breakup with guys in the past with like Hines and Troy, and I think that influenced a little bit the decision with Roethlisberger. I think if that hadn't happened 10 years ago with those guys and there were rough feelings around there, I don't think Roethlisberger probably would have played last year. He basically said as much, that he didn't really think that they really particularly wanted him to come back.
Right.
And I don't know. Whatever you want to say about Pickett or Trubisky or Rudolph, which we have to give him a fighting chance because he's got some experience. I just want to see what the next thing is. I'm just ready for it. I'm tired of lowering the standard to now where it's like, whoa, we won 9 games. I don't care. I don't care.
See, I've been at that point now for the last 5 or 6, more than 5 or 6 years now, where I'm ready to see a new message.
Yeah.
Okay. And the new message has to start from the top.
Well, I mean, you got new GM. They're doing some different stuff with the way they're bringing in people. They have been more aggressive in free agency this year, especially. They've been making more trades and stuff.
I mean, like head coach
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I'm purposely ignoring that.
I know.
No, it is. I mean, it is what it is, man. I don't know.
But you're saying all the things.
I know, and I go back and forth on this every year with Tomlin, and he's like one of the great debates in the history of sports because, like, you know, you could say well, this, this thing or that thing, and then it's like, yeah, but then he also did that. Like, I don't know the answer, because what makes the Steelers great is the stability, and like Tomlin, and so like we all, I not me because I was too young, but this happened at the end of the road with Chuck Noll, where people started to be like, oh, I don't know. And then it kind of started to happen in those later middle years with Cowher, 97 or 98, 99, 2000. But then they stuck through it, and he rebuilt the team and then won the championship and then set him up for the next era of success with Tomlin. And so, like, maybe we're just at that point now with Mike where it's like, okay, he's going to put down his tracks and set this thing up for the future. I think I think he's earned the opportunity to at least try to do this, because he's never had to do this. He's had Roethlisberger for his whole career. And so I think he does deserve the opportunity to get the chance to do this. Whether it works out for everybody, I don't know. We'll see. And I think ultimately it all hinges really on Kenny Pickett, in my opinion.
It does. It really does. And so getting back to swinging way back to the original question, where I think that no matter who's back there calling the signals, whether it's Pickett or Rudolph or Trubisky, I think it's going to be a more Matt Canada run offense where you're going to see more of the full playbook instead of what you just saw last year with the drop back and get rid of the ball so quickly, like within 3 seconds. And that's all you really saw. And then hand it off to Najee. And then that was it. I think we're going to see more of the RPOs that we saw in his college game from Matt Canada. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, hopefully.
Right? And so having a quarterback like Trubisky or even Pickett, who is more athletic, can do those RPOs, has experience doing the RPOs. Do you know what I mean? I think that's going to make this offense that much more dangerous, especially with the fact that you look at the skill positions that the Steelers have. And I mean, it's almost like, man, I'm stepping into a Ferrari here.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean,
right?
It makes perfect sense for, I mean, the lifetime or the opportunity of a lifetime is for Trubisky, really. I mean, if he's able to even just be okay, he's coming into a perfect situation. I don't want to say, like, I hate to make it sound like I don't want to root for him or anything. Like, if he comes out and he plays well, like I'm happy to root for anybody that's wearing the right jersey. It's fine. What I kind of mean is just like, I don't think he's that guy, and I think
right. And you might as well see the rookie now.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, you got 4 or 5 years on a rookie deal, and to me, it's like, I don't see the difference ultimately between just, it's always, you can't throw them to the fire. I mean, they're the Steelers, okay? It's not the Jets, all right? We're not throwing them out with no help. Like, to me, if he's even close, you get him out there.
Well, here's the other thing too. Now that's kind of the only caveat to this whole offensive quote unquote juggernaut is the offensive line.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are just assuming it's going to get better because of another year and because of the signings, but it's not guaranteed.
If we do not have a team that comes together in camp and gels as an offensive line, and they stay healthy and are able to put it together. Look, I heard so many people talk about Najee from last year. Like, he had, like, the most touches.
Yeah.
Like over 320 touches.
Insane. Yeah, it was nuts.
Right? It was insane, right? But
Tomlin's got to stop doing that. That's my biggest complaint about Tomlin, is that he refuses to take carries off of his bell cow. I hate it. It drives me nuts.
I'm with you. But he had all of his runs were all less than 5 yards.
Oh yeah, and he was getting his average like yards per yards after contact and stuff. Yeah, it's nuts. He had to make everything from scratch.
That's what okay, right. So if you don't have an offensive line that can get a running back with positive yards per carry,
yeah, well,
right?
and then, I mean the hope there is that I think a lot of people are kind of just assuming that some of the ability to run more of the system is going to open up that stuff a little bit. You hope, but you don't want to live and die by scheme. Like you do want to be able to just be able to line up in the I formation and get 3 yards when you need it. And the Steelers have just woefully, I mean, last year Najee just willed his way to some stuff, and it was awesome. But I don't care what kind of shape he's in. You cannot just go into every season. And I know this is only his second year, but I've just seen Mike do it. You can just not go into every season being like, well, we're going to put 450 touches on Najee again. Like, the guy's a special talent. You got to be able to get him some help. And that's another thing. They refuse to ever sign a halfway decent running back to be. They did it one time when they got D'Angelo Williams, and it was great. And they never did it again. And they
didn't they just bring some guy in from like Texas?
I mean, they've signed a couple guys, but they signed jabronis at running back. They never sign real players.
Don't we still have Derek Watt, right? As a full back?
Yeah.
I said that out loud again.
I believe Derek Watt, until Deontay got his new deal, I believe Derek Watt was slated to be the highest paid player on the offense this year or something like that.
How many touches did he have last year? Like 5 or 6?
4 or 5, I don't know, at the most.
Right? But we're gonna sign him to a 2-year deal so he can be more part of our offense.
Hey, if it keeps TJ happy, man, I don't care.
Well, that's a spot on the roster.
I don't care.
That's
if it keeps him here, it's whatever.
Okay. I mean,
if that guy is gonna have 23 sacks and he feels happier because his brother is here, whatever. His brother could play fullback for 5 snaps a season. I'm not losing sleep over it.
Okay.
What the frick? They've had Terrell Edmonds' brother as a practice squad running back for like 4 years. The guy's got like 2 touches. Well, come on. I don't care. If it keeps him happy, it's all that matters.
Yeah, but he's on the practice squad. I mean,
2022. How many snaps is a fullback gonna touch anyway?
I mean,
no,
it's use a fullback.
It's interesting. It's exciting, and I don't.
It is. I'm excited.
I don't know what to think. The schedule. You can't ever just look at it, but the schedule looks tough on paper.
I think they have a possibility to contend for the division.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be tough. I do.
It is.
Yeah, Cincy's real, man. They were good last year. Burrow's not gonna fall off a cliff, and Baltimore's always gonna be there. And Cleveland, who knows? I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, but
please let's not.
Yeah.
I really think though that as long as the offensive line can come together. And if it comes out to where they play Trubisky for a couple games and then they start putting in Pickett.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even think the team needs to lose to be putting Pickett in to get the spark or whatever. Well, why not put him in while you're winning?
That's gonna be. See, that's the interesting thing that with the whole. The triumvirate of Trubisky, Rudolph, and Pickett, where it's going to be like, so if you decide Trubisky's the starter, which I think we both agree, right, that's probably the most likely scenario week 1, right? If you had to put the money down, that's where you'd go. Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Do you try to trade or cut Rudolph? Because otherwise you would. It'd be hard for me to say if Pickett doesn't earn the starting job because of potential, then Rudolph is still a better backup quarterback because he's played in this league. So then are you making Pickett a game day inactive and he's not even getting any practice reps? And because that's kind of what happened with Mason Rudolph, was that he was his whole rookie year inactive. He didn't have a quarterback coach, and most people think it hampered his potential. And so then is Tomlin going to learn from that? Or I don't know. Is there a world where they're all three like on the roster?
Okay, so normally Pittsburgh carries 4 in camp because they have the 4th arm, and they drafted that kid out of South Dakota State, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the fact that they drafted Kenny Pickett, I think that pretty much spelled the end for Rudolph.
Yeah.
Okay, I really do, because in the end, I think there's way more upside with Pickett than there ever's going to be with Rudolph. And I don't care the fact that Rudolph has been in the league, and I don't care that he's even been on the team and been in Matt Canada's offense and all that happiness. I still think all day long Kenny Pickett's just a better athlete.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Than Rudolph. So if he doesn't make the starting quarterback position, then I definitely think he's going to make the second string.
Yeah.
So that makes Rudolph expendable.
Yeah.
Right? So then now it's exactly what your question is. Do they waive him? Do they trade him? Do they put him on the practice squad? What do they do now with him?
I don't think he could be on the practice squad. He probably doesn't qualify.
No, but I mean, what can they do with him then? You know,
they would be either cut him or trade him. Yeah. I mean, no, it's just it's an interesting prospect because I think they're going to give him some time to play. And I think it could be one of those scenarios where, you know, this is a cheeky thing that you see every preseason where somebody gets some good player that looks good and they give him a lot of time to play because they think like the rest of the league will see it, and then somebody will give up like a 5th round pick for him or something like that. I don't know how much that really happens, but you always hear that talked about. I mean, could they get a 6th round pick for Mason Rudolph? I think probably if somebody really needs a backup quarterback. I mean, for as much as Steelers fans hate him, Mason Rudolph being your backup quarterback is really not the worst thing in the world. There's worse backup quarterbacks.
I mean, to be honest with you, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be getting the warm fuzzies if I know that Mason Rudolph was coming off the bench to try to win me a game.
Yeah, I know. There's worse backup.
You're right. There are worse
as far as like actual arm talent, and he's been in the league. I agree. You could do a lot worse with that position.
I agree.
I think somebody, you might be able to get something out of him, but to your point, I just don't want to see a world where Pickett is ever a number 3. I don't want to see him being like a game day inactive. I don't think that helps. I agree. I don't think that helps anybody. I think he needs to be in uniform. I think he needs to be, Well,
I think we're going to see in these preseason games, and if I was Tomlin, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I would be playing all 3 of these guys with the ones.
Yeah.
Okay? And I would be mixing them up too. And I wouldn't just be saying, oh, well, Trubisky's only going to play with the ones and Rudolph is playing with the 3s and Kenny's playing with the 2s. No. Give them all a shot with the ones.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to be able to tell. Yeah.
No, I mean, it is what it is, all right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. The preseason football is just, it's tough. I mean, even as a diehard, it does because there's only so much you could read into it, and you could watch
looks
it.
Good in shells and shorts.
Yeah, exactly. I remember after the first or second game last year, everybody was all jacked up about Percy Harvin, and then he had or Presley Harvin, and then he was terrible all year. It's like,
yeah, right.
Or James Washington was always that guy where he'd make some crazy catch, mossing some like 4th string DB, and you're like, oh, this is the year for James Washington, and then he gets in on 20 snaps.
And is now not even on the team anymore now, and now is actually hurt.
Yeah, I know.
For the year.
He had
a broken foot or something. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
No, I mean, hey, we'll see what we get out of it. I think
cautiously optimistic is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
For the season.
It's just tough. I mean, the AFC's tough, man. It's deep. You got a lot of good teams. The whole West just about is really good. The East, who knows? The South is kind of meh, but like, the Colts are pretty good.
We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
who's made the improvements, who's done the right things, and to be honest with you, I think Pittsburgh is going to be a better team than what they put out on the field last year. It's just all going to depend on who wins the quarterback race, right? Or more importantly, who wins the number 2 quarterback race.
Sure.
Because if Rudolph doesn't win that race,
yeah,
been a slice.
Well, and and that's an interesting observation, and this will be kind of like my last thought, is just that, like, this team could be a better football team than last year and have a worse record than they did last year.
Okay, yes.
Because they were not good last year, and they won 9-7-1 it ended up being.
Yeah.
And that was not a good football. I mean, I remember saying I remember in the episodes like week 13, 14 and being like, I still don't know if this team is good. And I think that could be the motto for this year is like, you're going to be pedaling uphill a little bit. No matter how good things go, it's just going to be different. And, this team could get better and it can sort of turn into a stronger overall unit with less flaws. But some things might not go their way like they did last year, and they might end up winning 7 games instead of 9. And, but you have to be able to take it all in the totality of it. And, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun watching the way people react to it all.
For sure. And I really think that this year is going to be, like you said, this is the transition year now, because this is the first year without Ben.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now how are things going to be? And there's a lot of new coaches with the Steelers right now, all up and down. There's new people in the front office. So It's almost like a whole kind of new situation going on there in Pittsburgh. So I'm with you. I am cautiously optimistic, but I'm here to tell you, I really think that if the offensive line can gel and come together, I don't care who's back there playing quarterback. I think it's going to be a much better team.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the outlook, and I hope that's correct, because I want them to be good.
Yeah, we want them to be good.
I know how lucky we were to watch a really high level player at that position, and I know how I felt when I was watching that same player not being a high level player anymore. And I want the next thing to be good. That's right. I want to know when it's here, and I want to be excited about it.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think we'll get out of here on this quick little first edition of 5 Star Radio for the season. I got to get some dinner going, but before I head out, he's
already in mid-season form, and we're not even out of training camp yet. So you go.
This is my calling, man. I don't even have to think about it.
No doubt about that.
I'm doing transitions. I'm doing lead-ins. That introduction about being in the bat cave. I literally had not thought about that before I pressed record.
Look, This is what it's like to work with professionals here, people. Okay, you know what I mean? Like,
I do what I can. All right, everybody out there. Well, everybody, stay cool if it's hot in your part of the world,
please.
And
oh my gosh,
we'll be seeing you soon with more Steelers stuff on 5 Star Radio. Steel, I'll catch you later, and everybody else,
man.
Bye.